Hi, my name is Yancy. Welcome to my channel, Chasing Yancy. If you are watching this on YouTube, you are catching the replay. If you are watching this on Instagram, this is live. I'm going to pin the topic for today's video, and it's entitled 9 Ways to Bring the Best Out of a Guy. All right, so today's topic, I am going to be talking about different ways that you can bring a man to his best. A lot of women will say, there's a side of me that only certain guys will get because there are certain behaviors that trigger that side to come out of us. And the same thing goes for men. You can have the same guy and treats one woman one way and a different woman another way. So I'm going to be giving you guys some serious tips. Okay, so I'm going to let everybody get in and get settled. I love this. Everyone's ready to go. Drop your city and state. Those of you watching the replay, you can fast forward. We're going to just say hello for about a minute, and then we're going to dive in. I have 9 tips that you can really take to heart. So if you're a note taker, this is your chance to go get your notes. But shout out your city and state. I always like to see where you are. And let's make it a little bit different today. Let's see what you guys had for lunch. All right, so let me know your city and state. And if you want to share what you had for lunch, you can share that. I actually had a steak salad. You guys can share what is that you want to share. And is my lighting okay, guys? I don't have it as bright as normally, but hopefully it's okay. All right, so we have, I think I just missed one. Oh, New York, perfect. We have Manassas, Virginia, DC, Atlanta, nice. Okay, there are a bunch of you guys here. Let me see your city and state, and then if you feel like sharing what you had for lunch, we're gonna get into this. I'm gonna pack a lot of stuff in here, so this is good stuff. And guys, men, make sure you let me know if this is on point, because I do my best to really give the cheat code to women, okay? So it's going to benefit all of us. We've got a Baltimore, Maryland, nice, a Kentucky, a Detroit, and a Louisville. Okay, perfect. All right, guys, so everyone seems like they're in and settled, and oh, I love it. Okay, you guys are answering the question. I forget there's a delay, so when I ask stuff, it doesn't come in right away. I had a plantain and spinach soup. Oh, that's different. All right, let's hear a couple more. Let's hear what you guys had for lunch, and then we're going to kick off these 9 ways to bring the best out of a guy. And while you guys are dropping your what you had for lunch, I love that. Atlanta, fried rice, egg fried rice with a salad. I don't think I've ever had fried rice and a salad before together, but I like both. It's so interesting. So I was scrolling on Facebook today, and there was a post that somebody had. She's at KFC with the emojis. Somebody had done a post saying, guys, what are things that you find unattractive in a woman? And that thing just went viral. The guys were commenting. And so, of course, I'm over there compiling which ones I'm seeing repeatedly. And I put it in an Instagram post, and it did really well today. But what's interesting is that some women, I'm so glad they weren't on my post. I think there was only like one snarky comment. But most women on my page were not triggered. However, the women on the Facebook post, they were really triggered. And so I thought, man, it's weird when I see people opening up and giving cheat codes. I'm like, it doesn't trigger me. So it's interesting to see, when people have that mindset. Rican Goddess says chicken and potatoes. I love it. I said potatoes. So the ladies on my page, it looks like you guys are the same way. I saw one person even say, I like it when you hold us accountable. And of course, I'm not perfect, so I include myself in it too. But these are things that you can do to be that type of woman that the guy is just head over heels for. There is something about a man's nature. He wants to provide for a woman, and he wants to take care of her. He wants to love on her and just adore her. It's like, I hate using this example, but I'm going to do it. It's similar to how you feel about children or puppies. You don't need them to do stuff for you, right? I mean, well, we might ask them to get the remotes and things like that, but what you typically have kids or get a dog because you just enjoy their nature. You enjoy the essence of who they are, right? Hugging on a little baby, smelling their good little smells, snuggling them, cuddling them. You don't need something from them. It's not a 50-50 by any means relationship, but there's something that you enjoy. And so femininity is something that is such a beautiful gift that God gives women. And shameless plug for my class. Next Tuesday, I have my femininity class, teaching women how to really tap into their femininity. But when you're able to do that, you trigger something inside of a man that just makes him want to give, okay? So I probably shouldn't admit this, but I was at my parents' house and I needed a light bulb changed. I'm perfectly capable of changing a light bulb, right? But I went into my daddy, daddy, my light bulb needs to be changed. And, he's joking about me doing it. But guess what happens? He gets up and goes in there to get a light bulb and goes to do it, right? So there is this quality. Daddy's girls understand this. There is something about the nature of a woman, and I don't mean using it for evil, okay? Although you could say it was manipulative to get my light bulb changed. But it's a playful thing where men don't resent the women, okay? It's not something that a guy is like, oh, I can't believe I have to do this. It's this kind of unspoken game that men truly enjoy if the woman knows how to do it right? Because it's just this fun little game. So when I give this information, ladies, it is never meant to tear you down. It is never meant to discourage you. It is never meant to make you feel less than. Honey, it is about giving you the cheat code. So I'm about to give you guys some serious, these are not fluffy things, 9 serious things that you can do to bring the best out of a guy, okay? And here's the thing, it's kind of self-serving, right? So if you understand the cheat code, you basically know how to push their button in a good way, and then they end up giving you the thing that you want. Now, of course, you're with a toxic guy, you can throw everything I said out the window because it doesn't matter, he's toxic. But this is for a normal, healthy guy, and I'm about to describe some things that guys would probably say, this would be a dream girl. Like, if I could find this chick, man, I would marry her tomorrow. All right, so guys, keep me accountable. Men, keep me accountable, because I tend to say guys universally, but men especially, keep me accountable if I'm off on these. Like I say, I'm not trying to just make this up for women, okay? All right, so the very first one, and this is something that has been at the top. It's kind of like when you say to women, what's the biggest issue with men? What do we always say? Inconsistency, right? So there's something, for whatever reason, universally, that just seems like the biggest thing with guys is that there's not consistency. Well, when you ask men this question, it almost inevitably comes up accountability, a lack of accountability. So much so that I put it in my ebook as one of the top things on dating. Is it the dating do's and don'ts? I have a couple of ebooks, but it's in my book. And that's one of the number one things that men complained about, is that there was a lack of accountability. So I really want to understand, there are a lot of jokes and memes and things that you'll see on social media about women struggling to say, I'm sorry. There was something that I came across today and shared it with my story, about how women struggle to say, I'm sorry. And that's one thing. I struggle with a lot of things, but that was one that I didn't really have. So it's hard for me to understand, where that's coming from. But I do know that when I was defensive when I was younger, it was because I felt like somehow I was acknowledging that I was bad in some way, like as a whole person, just throw the whole person away. And so I don't know if subconsciously that's what women are thinking, that if I own this, somehow I'm saying I'm a bad person. The reality is that if you make a mistake, but you can own it, it is so attractive. If someone can be like, you know what, you're right, that was petty. Or, you know what, you're right, I wouldn't like that if this was done to me. There is something about a woman having a teachable spirit. And it's, we say we want leaders. Right? But there's a flip side to that. So a leader is someone who leads. And so sometimes he is going to be leading you as far as giving you feedback that you might not like. And I just cringe when I see relationships where the guy feels like he has to walk around on eggshells because, God forbid, he says something that is criticizing the woman. If it's constructive, that shouldn't be the case. The beautiful thing about a relationship is that you should be able to be like two irons, right? Or two iron sharpening iron, like two swords, two knives sharpening each other, right? So you want to be able to be teachable, but hold yourself accountable, all right? That is a huge, huge, huge thing. That is probably the number one thing. Guys, let me know if I'm wrong, but that is a big, big thing. I've got my notes over here, so if you see me looking this way, that's why I don't have ADD. All right, so number 2, this one is so simple, but it gets overlooked a ton, especially for people who are married. And I know I have a lot of people who are married or in relationships. So this, let me give a disclaimer. This particular piece of advice, this video is mostly geared towards people who are in a relationship already. But if you are dating, just keep this in mind for when you are in a committed relationship, right? Because if you're just getting to know someone, you don't owe them anything. Although this can still be applied. Number 2 can be applied. So number one was taking accountability. Number two is showing gratitude. When you show gratitude, because I heard somebody say this and it absolutely broke my heart. I listed off some things that a guy would do that a woman should show gratitude for, and she said something like, that's what he's supposed to do. The thing is, everyone likes to be thanked for what they're doing, even if it's what they're supposed to do, right? You can thank your mail carrier. Your mail carrier is literally getting paid to deliver mail, but you can still express gratitude, like you're thankful that someone's coming to your door every day and dropping off whatever, is being delivered. Think about being a mom. Yes, it's your job. You decided to have this kid, but it feels good when they say, Mom, thank you for that meal. Thank you for cooking for me. Thank you for picking me up from school every day, or thank you for putting me in this sport and taking me to practices. We need to be more vocal with our thank yous. There is something about a guy that just, it's like cranking up his little like those wind up toys. It's like cranking him up in the back. When you say thank you, it just propels them. And what is so precious to me about men is that they tend to not have the men that we're going for, okay, they tend to not have a 50-50 mindset or a tit for tat mindset. Now, there are other things that they want from women, but they don't have a like for like mindset. They will go out and work themselves to the bone. They will pay for things. And really, they're just happy for a thank you, right? They can go out into the gym, work super hard to build muscles, because it's hard to build muscles, right? When we go to the gym, ladies, it's typically just to burn calories or whatever, but trying to build muscles, it's a big deal. And so all of it is worth it if a woman just comes along and goes, oh, look at these big muscles, right? It's just the little things that affirmation from a woman goes such a long way, especially as a feminine woman. So number two, show gratitude. That will bring out the best for the guy. And it's just like a little kid. If you say, oh, good job, you put the artwork on the fridge, next thing you know, what are they bringing? 2 more art projects, and they want to put them on the fridge. So give him that gratitude. Okay, so number 3, again, these are all going to sound so basic coming out of my mouth, but I promise you, these are things that are not often found, and men are so grateful for this. Be easy to get along with. So it is amazing how many times I see women say, with a little giggle, I know I'm tough to deal with. I know I'm hard to get along with. I know I'm not easy to get along with. I need a guy who can handle me. That should not be said with any pride at all. Like, at all. When you are in a relationship, there are 2 people, and it is not the put your name in here show. It's not the Yancey show. It's not the whatever show. And it's not to say that he should always have his way. But you should make a concerted effort to go with the flow. Go with the flow. Be easy to get along with. You hear guys say all the time, be my peace, be my peace, be my peace. Part of that is just going with the flow. So let's say, for example, you ask him to bring something home and he gets the order slightly wrong, or he forgets something, right? If he is doing all the other stuff amazing, pick your battles. Pick your battles. You don't realize the stuff that he's going through. I had some candid conversations with my now ex-husband, and one of the things I told him, I said, man, I never knew any of the stresses that you were going through with work. That man, his alarm would go off. He'd get up, go to work, drive 2 hours in traffic, work all day, 2 hours, come home, and do it all over again. Never, ever, ever once said, hey, things are tight this month, or, this stress is happening. I think maybe one time he talked about a boss really just getting under his skin, but he never let me feel that burden. So if he is taking that L silently, the least we can do is just kind of go with the flow and adapt. The other thing is, like, as women, sometimes we can act like children, and if something isn't his fault, we can just kind of complain to him. But because a man who really loves his woman wants her to be happy and cared for, it could be stressful to him. So let's just say, for example, you guys had planned to go on a hike or whatever, and it rains. That's totally out of his control. Having a woman who's just like, it's fine. You know what? Let's do an indoor picnic instead, or let's do this instead, or no big deal, or we can do that next Saturday. That is literally priceless. being priceless. You do not want to have your guy just always stressed out wondering, what is she going to complain about now? What is she going to have a problem with now? What is she going to nitpick? I made this amazing dinner, but I paired it with the wrong wine. You do not want to be that type of a woman. Ladies, let me know if these tips are helpful for you. I'm going to sip my little water. Let me know if these are helpful. Guys, let me know if I am on point. It's funny because when people are super quiet, it can either mean that they are listening intently and taking notes, or they're not interested at all. So you guys got to let me know which one it is. Feel free to hit the little heart button if you are enjoying this, okay? So we are on number 4. The 4th thing that you can do out of the 9 ways to bring the best out of your guy is to lift him up with your words. Okay. Oh, perfect. Okay. So I'm getting some good feedback. Thank you so much. Lift him up with your words. He can get praised by 1,000 people during the day, but if it's his baby that is praising him, it exceeds everything else. It's kind of like a woman, you can get complimented by guys, but if you come home and your guy says it, it's like, it hits different, right? Okay. Good. Okay. I'm getting feedback. Thank you guys. So lift him up with his words and try to, oh, how cute. She said, listening intently. Try to find things that are very specific to him. So you could say, for example, thank you so much for working so hard and not complaining. Thank you so much for being so present with our kids, or thank you so much for helping so-and-so with his batting practice, or try to be very, very specific. And especially if he takes care of his body, ooh, this is when your feminine side comes out, right? Make sure you treat him like a piece of meat every so often, and use your words to just, oh, okay, muscles. Oh, okay. Give him that. Stroke his ego. I see this a lot where women are like, I'm not going to stroke his ego. I'm not going to give him a big head. You better give him a huge head. He should be trying to figure out how to get that thing through the door, because if it's coming from you and you have a healthy partner, okay, not a narcissist or something like that, he is going to port that back over to you. Okay, you fill his love tank, he's going to pour into yours. On the other video, I was saying it's like you breathing into his lungs. Now his lungs are filled, he can breathe into your lungs. And you guys just keep propelling each other in a healthy way. Never hold back on the compliments. And that could be something that you didn't grow up getting, and it could be something that's a little bit cringy. Practice, okay? You don't have to say things that are not like authentic to you, like, oh wow, you are so big and strong. Like, don't try to speak in a way that's not you. Put it in your own words, and if you're playful about it, you can, but just do it, okay? I cannot tell you how many guys, because my love language is words of affirmation, just going on dates and meeting guys, I tend to just naturally find things to compliment them on. And it's so crazy. So many guys are like, all right, what's the deal? What's happening? Especially if they think you're attractive. Okay, you're a pretty girl and you're giving me a compliment. What's happening? I'm used to just giving the compliments. So you will blow him away if you give him the feedback. Okay, so number 4. Oh, so your words should encourage him and never tear him down. Okay, so here's the thing that you have to understand. And because guys are not these super, they have emotions, but they don't express themselves the way that we as women would do, right? Where we're just so transparent. Men value and really put on, give a lot of weight to what you say. So just like I was saying, if you praise him, it goes a long way. You tearing him down really will push him. So coming from his own person, his queen, in the house, that has a lot of weight. So you want to make sure that you never, ever, 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 ever tear him down. And if you have to give constructive criticism, make it constructive. And I like to say, if you can, do a compliment sandwich. Babe, you have been killing it with this, with whatever, XYZ. If you could do da-da-da-da-da, I would really, really appreciate that. Or you could say this, man, I really love it when you do this, to use a positive to bring it out. So let's just say, let me give an example because I felt like that was too wordy and vague. Let's say, for example, if he's not really affectionate Instead of saying, you're never affectionate. Why aren't you affectionate? I need you to be affectionate. When you do catch him in those moments, you could say, oh my goodness, I love it. I love when you give me affection. Oh, I love it when your arms are around me. I love feeling your big, strong arms, right? You can do a double whammy. You want to speak life into them. It's funny, it says Jay speaks life. Just as she was coming in, it made me think that's what I'm talking about, speaking life, okay? So do not tear him down. And guys will not typically say, oh, you hurt my feelings. That really bummed me out. They'll just take it. They'll just take it, and it's in there. And if they don't feel, this is going to go into another one. If they don't feel like, they're in a safe space, they are going to just shut down. So many guys say, I just never will again. And sometimes they will never speak again for even women after that person if they're just dating. So it has a big effect on them. Okay, so number 5, this goes hand in hand, be a safe space. So you should be a vault for his vulnerability. One guy said it was so cute because he had broken English. I think he was from South America somewhere. But he said, men are expected to be just strong and tough and just basically just always on, just super macho and manly and whatever. And if you ever have a moment where there's like a little kink in your armor or you just want to take a break from all this machismo, you don't want it to be thrown back in your face. So the moment where he does kind of sigh, or the moment he does maybe complain, or the moment he does say, I don't know what I'm doing, that is not the time to jump all over him. That is the time to grab him emotionally and hold him even more and let him know you are there, you are supporting him. Hey, wherever we're going, I'm with you. Even if you don't say it like this, but even if you take a wrong turn, hey, we're going to be on that wrong turn together. That is something that is so big for men. If you ask him, loyalty is almost always at the top of the list. Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty. He wants to feel like he can rely on you. And a lot of times it's not the loyalty, not the reliance, like I need your resources and things like that. It's, are you going to be there? Kind of like a trust fall. And so when you are not a safe space, when he does let that guard down, that is a horrible, horrible experience for a man. It is, I would say, almost traumatizing. So you want to make sure you are a safe place. Even if you feel like you have a reaction, try to stifle it because you don't want to discourage him from opening up and sharing. But that his words should be like that he put him in a vault. It should be like he put them in a safe, locked it, put padlocks on it, put a guard dog around it in the highest surveillance system. That stuff should never come out. It should never come back out to him in an argument where you're weaponizing his vulnerability. And 10 million times worse, it should never come out to somebody else. It should never, ever, ever be used as a weapon, because we always say we want men to be more emotional and more transparent and, all the stuff, emotionally available. This is how they will test it. They will do little things that aren't that expensive emotionally, right? They're gonna gamble with like 10 cents, and if you destroy that 10 cents, they're not gonna give you the $100 thing. They're not gonna talk to you about that $1,000 thing. So you might not realize it, but he might have already tested you. He's also watching how you handle your other relationships, your relationships with your friends, your kids, your parents, your coworkers, whatever. If you are reckless, if you go around telling people's business or acting like you're consoling someone on one side and then you come over here and bash them, he's watching all of that, okay? Thank you, Giles. I love a male cosign. So be a safe space. I cannot stress that enough. Okay, number 5. It's not. It's number 6, okay? Have a sweet attitude. This is where I was saying earlier that I hate to compare it because people can take it so literally or take it as condescending or derogatory. But I mentioned before how there's just something about babies and puppies that you just want to give unconditionally. You don't need anything back, right? It's just there to be cute or sweet or loved or whatever. In that same way, you want to have a sweet attitude. You want to be like, almost just like those, what is it called? Those scents. What are those things called that you plug them in? They like releases a scent every now and then. You want to be just this beautiful thing. And I don't mean beautiful from the external, but you just want to be this just radiance of energy that is so positive. It's kind of like men living in a world of black and white, and when a woman comes in, it's color. All day it's just gray, black, white, gray, black, white. And then you show up and it's bright yellow, it's pink, it's reds, it's rich, it's fabrics, it's soft. Your attitude should be that same way. So when you come into the room, it should just lift the whole energy of the room, okay? Aura, I like that. And so a lot of that is what I said before, picking your battles, not complaining a ton. You're speaking life into him, right? So every time he's around you, it's just like he gets replenished and now he can go back out into the world. I used an analogy a while back in a video I did on YouTube, and I said, you should be like the corner. I forget what it's called. I forget what it's called, but it's like when you're in a boxing ring, you have the corner. Is it called a corner man? Corner? I can't think of the term. It just slipped my mind. I think it's corner man, something like that. But essentially, the boxer is like almost out, and he comes to that corner, and then you've got someone who's massaging the shoulders, you have someone who's icing down wounds, or treating cuts, or giving him water to drink, or speaking life into him. That is their job in that corner. So you want to be that emotionally for that man, okay? Corner man, thank you. Okay, I wasn't sure if I remembered correctly. So just be that. Your attitude goes so far. And if there are things that you can talk to somebody else about, let's say if you're irritated about something or what have you, really work on that. And I'm going to go here, but even when it comes to your time of the month, right? If you really care and love your person, and you notice, start to keep track of your cycle and start to see if you start to act like an unpleasant person. And then you could start to be on the lookout. And when you see your calendar, okay, I'm getting about this place, you can go into high gear and try to really, really work to be pleasant to be around. Because to me, we still need to be in control of how we conduct ourselves. We might have raging emotions going on, but we still need to be loving to our partner, okay? Okay, so number 7. Oh, I'm a little scared to say this one because it's going to sound weird. Number 7 is be nurturing. But what I was going to say is think of a mom. Okay. Somebody was trying to talk mess on a reel that was posted a while ago that I came across. And it was a woman with her husband doting on her. And it was like, oh, you just, he's your dad, or you want him to be your dad, or something like that. And I commented and I said, well, if you think about it, the first positive relationships that we have, that we're introduced to, in an ideal way, is our parents. And what do dads do? Dads provide, they protect, they look out for her, they teach her, guide her. And what does a mom do? She shows unconditional love. She's soft, she's sweet, she's tending to that child's needs so that they can go and do whatever the things that they need to do. So in that same way, you can think about it. A lot of times I see women say, I'm not his mother. But a lot of that is what makes you so precious to him, okay? So the things that he enjoyed from his mother, why not give him those things? Okay, so there are things that a man can do, but if you take it off the table for him, it's amazing. Let's flip it. You can work. You can pay the bills. Oh, but it sure feels good when he says, I love you enough to do this for you. So those types of things, the helpmate type of things, if we want to go traditional, doing his laundry, cooking for him. This is why I said not dating, ladies. You don't need to do wifey stuff when you're dating. But cooking for him, cleaning for him, keeping track of the little things like, hey, you have a dentist appointment, or I made the dentist appointment. Those types of things so that he can focus on the big stuff that really pays the bills. You taking care of those little things. All that would be nurturing. Okay, looking out for him, making sure that he's eating healthy meals, checking up on him, in a nurturing way. It is okay to channel a little bit of mom energy, okay? All right, so we have 2 more. You guys sticking with me? I know this is a lot. Number 8, and these are not in any particular order. I just, as they came to me, I wrote them down, so they're not in order of value. But physical appearance is huge. And I have to give a huge disclaimer because people could say, well, what about health issues and kids and all? Okay, all that stuff aside, whatever you're working with, whatever is within your power, do your best to look your best, because Women, we tend to be emotional creatures. Men are very physical. They are physical. And so there is something so rewarding for a man when he can see his woman. We cannot take for granted, and I'm not talking about you got to walk around looking like a Barbie doll all the time, but there is something about putting yourself together because you know it works for him. There are a lot of things that we do that are not comfortable, they're not convenient, but this is a love language, okay? It's not one of the 5 love languages, but that is a way that we can show love to our partner, especially if you have a traditional man who is going out and, earning the money and taking care of the house. One of the things that my mom used to do, because it's not practical to walk around looking like a Barbie all day when you're cooking and cleaning and taking care of kids, but she would set her timer and be prepared for what around the time my dad would come home, because he'd come home around the same time every night. She'd go in there, and they have been married since 1977, so you do the math. I'm not quick with math like that. To this day, she still does this. She will get dolled up for him. And I don't mean over-the-top prom dresses. I mean just, maybe a little eyeliner, a little blush, brushing her hair if it was like, twisted up in a bun. Ladies, taking the bonnet off, okay? Dressing in something that shows off your shape. And we get into the specifics of appearance in my femininity class. Shameless plug, next Tuesday. DM me if you want more information and you want to get in on that class. But just doing those little things, you have no idea how it propels him. And guys are seeing, they're scrolling social media and they're seeing stuff, or they're going to work if they're in an office setting and seeing women who are putting themselves together. You want to make sure you don't just totally let yourself go and take for granted the fact, well, he's already mine and, I can look however. Why not? Why not do something that is going to make him, just extra excited to be your man? Okay, she said, perfect. You DM'd me. I'm pretty good about checking them. So if it was recent, then I will get to it right after this live stream. And if it was more than a couple hours, I apologize. I might have gone to another inbox. So if you don't hear from me before the end of the night, make sure you just comment on a post somewhere, because it might have gone to another inbox. Thank you so much, Giles, for the badge. I really appreciate that. So as far as your appearance, this is the other thing that I want you to think about too. Think about when you are getting dressed and presenting yourself. And this is especially for the ladies who are dating, right? There is this whole thing about, I don't do things for a man. I do things because I like them. And to an extent, yes. To an extent, you should be, doing things because you enjoy them. But you also need to understand we are trying to attract. We are trying to attract. And if you're trying to attract, you should know what is attractive to them. Vani says, will this be saved? It will be, and posted on my YouTube, unless there is a glitch on Instagram. So I always like to post it on YouTube where you can fast forward, pause, and all that jazz. I am Bebe Chica. Thank you so much for the badge. I really appreciate it, you guys. That's so nice. That's the sweetest way you can support me if you're enjoying this live. So thank you. But you have to make sure that you are doing things that, one, look good on you, and it's not just trendy, because some things are fun, they're trendy, it's like, oh, that's neat, but you have to see what looks good on you, right? And the other thing is, if you see consistently that men are not liking it, why would you do it? If you are trying to, have somebody. I don't know why my thing is plugged in, it's showing it's charging, and it's saying that the battery is dying. Hold on one second, guys. Sorry about that. Super weird. Let's make sure everything's plugged in. I have absolutely no idea why. Well, if it goes out, do you guys know what happened? I have no idea. I've never seen this. Anyway, so you want to make sure you're not doing the types of things. And I'm going to quiz you guys. What are the top things that men say they cannot stand from an appearance standpoint? Do you know what I'm talking about? What is the biggest thing that men say they cannot stand? And while you guys are putting your answers in, I'm going to see if I can plug this in on this side. Hang on, guys. That's what happens when you go live. You get real life stuff. Oh. Let's see if you guys know one of the things that just really triggers guys. Oh, okay. Looks like that's working. Yes, she actually hit it. So it's actually a two-parter now that I really think about it. I'm gonna see if anyone else catches it specifically. Yep. So far, the first two are coming in. She said too much makeup. Someone else said not natural, not overdone potato head makeup. Masculine woman, too much weave and makeup. Makeup, weave, stretch pants, no mani pedi, cheap nappy weave. Oh Lord, y'all. Y'all still haven't said the one that just really triggers men, like really, really bad. It's something very specific. And guys, don't say it. Don't say it, guys. It's something visual, and it's specifically on the face. Okay, what is something that it's traumatizing to men? There are endless memes about this. Oh, you guys have to get this. And women insist on continuing. There it is. She got it. Candy L got it. 6-inch lashes. It's these, I call them the snuffleupagus eyelashes. That is something that men repeatedly say, we hate this. We hate this. And yet women keep doing it. Okay. So this isn't, not mustache. Oh, I tried it. This is not trying to bash women, but it is, I'm inviting women to analyze why they're doing something. So are you doing something because, how would I say this? Why would you continue to do something if the gender that you say you're interested in absolutely hates them? Is it really that worth it? Is it really that worth it? So a lot of times we are doing things for other women because in our head, well, I don't wear those massive things, but those types of things is because it makes us feel like we look better. And then other women are complimenting. But the reality is there has never been a time, never in the history of false eyelashes has a man ever said, man, those eyelashes look amazing. Okay. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong about false eyelashes. There are places that can do it really, really well, and they can do those individuals, and it actually looks like real eyelashes. I remember one of my friends said, "Oh my gosh, your eyelashes are so pretty." She's like, "Girl, these are extensions," and that was before I even knew about them. So there are ways to do them to where they're tastefully done, but I'm talking about these ones. No guy likes it. So the reason I got on that tangent is because it's important for you if you are looking to try to attract men, it's important for you to listen to what they have to say. And this is what it is so interesting. When you see women, like I said, get triggered or be like, we don't care. Multiple women said that on the original post, which was on Facebook. We don't care. In response to the post saying, guys, what are you finding attractive? This is gold. Find out the things that they don't like, just like you would expect a guy to be listening and taking notes. If women were like, hey, we're going to speak for the tribe of women. This is what we hate. We hate, men sagging their pants, or we hate dirty nails. You would not want a guy to be like, we don't care, So we got to do the same thing on our side. But excessive makeup. The reason why men don't like excessive makeup, well, one, because sometimes it just looks goofy, right? But the other thing is that they can't see what they're getting. So it's the same reason why we don't like it when a guy always has a cap on, right? Like we never see him without a cap or a hat. We're like, what does your head look like? What do you look like without the cap? And so most guys want to see what she looks like. And unfortunately, there are times where when the makeup is gone, he doesn't find her attractive. So typically men want to know, do I find her attractive without the makeup? And then if she does put it on, great. But 9 times out of 10, when you're at home, he's waking up to this face. He's not waking up to the beat face. You might do that 1 or 2 times when you're dating or the first time. And so... all these comments, but typically you're going to have your natural face. So understand that if you want to push yourself in front of the class, if you want to stand out, find a way, even if you use a makeup artist, find a way to accentuate your natural beauty. Okay, all this contouring and all, where you just look like a whole different person afterwards. And then the other thing too is just very practical. It comes off. Right? So if he has a white t-shirt, guys, have you ever had a woman hug you and then you get off and she gets off of you and you have a big old mark? It's not very practical. You got a ton of lipstick. It's hard to kiss you. It's getting all over his mouth. So most guys tend to just enjoy that natural the natural look, not because they're haters, but it's for all those reasons. Not to mention the fact that in 2023, a lot of people can pass for women with makeup. So we just won't even get into that. He says shirt ruined. I'm a lady, I'm a woman who wears makeup, and I don't like wearing it because when I'm taking my clothes off, I don't want to get stuff on my collar. It's just super annoying. Okay, so that was number 8. And number 9, if you guys have been keeping track, is show him respect. Okay? Thank you, Olivia Dean. This is so sweet. Thank you for the badge. I really appreciate it. Show respect. So this is something that is huge, and I feel like I could have done an entire video on just this one alone. But showing respect comes in so many ways. Showing respect is what you don't say. It's what you don't do. It is what you do. It comes out in so many different ways. And so one way of showing a man respect is understanding that you are a representation of him. When a man takes on a woman, it's like she is an extension of him. And as much as you might think that sounds, I don't know, whatever word you might say, you might think that doesn't sound appealing, or it might sound arrogant, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it. It's the reality, right? He sees that as an extension of him, his other half, and things like that. Yes, consideration. I like that word. So how you carry yourself is a big deal, right? Really limiting your interactions with other men, for example, not being in a guy's face, all laughing and kikiing, even with guy friends, really limiting your time with them. And of course, this is not black and white saying you just can't have any male friends, but there are certain things that you can do to put yourself in a position to where he is being respected. Okay, he's not going to be questioned like, what's your lady doing? How you conduct yourself on social media is also something big. Are you showing everybody your goodies? Or is that something that's reserved for him? Most men like it for his woman to look good and sexy, but not sexual. Okay? So one of the things that I saw repeatedly on the list was this incessant need for attention. So a lot of women would be doing things, twerking or being loud or being provocative or constantly putting thirst trap photos, and it just screams insecurity. I need to have validation from men. And so when you don't do that, it's very respectful to your guy. Being confident. I like that. Good and sexy, but not sexual. Yes. And then just how you speak to him, right? Speaking to him calmly, not yelling, not using profanity, and 1000% not talking to him crazy in public. That will go a long, long, long way. A lot of times guys will listen to what you have to say, but if your delivery sucks, they're not listening to anything. Okay. So that was a lot. It was a lot of talking, a lot of 9 points. Let me know if this was helpful for you. Guys, let me know if I was speaking accurately for you guys. But if you missed any of the 9 tips, you can watch it on YouTube. And those of you who are watching on YouTube, say hello in the comments. If you're watching the replay, say replay. So last but not least, one final, oh good, she said super helpful. One final reminder, if you want to come to my class on Tuesday, we're going to have a lot of fun, you guys. I might even encourage people to bring their favorite drink and just let loose. We're going to have fun, some girl time, but we're going to learn too. But it's going to be very social. If you want to be a part of that, DM me. It is on Tuesday, January 24th. It is from 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time until around 9. I imagine we probably need about 2 hours. That's really a good tip, and that's actually something that I'll be talking about in the class. She says, ladies, be careful not to hang out with women who are the opposite of feminine, and that's absolutely true. She said, I have to find your YouTube channel. It is linked in my bio, and also you can just type in Chasing Yancey, and it'll pop up. But make sure you guys DM me if you want to come to the class, and that's about it. All right, so I always try to answer a few questions before I go. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the question box. It has a little question icon. So let me pin this here. Drop your questions in the question queue. Ooh, that was a typo. here. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, we'll just do a couple. You were, but sad to say this will fall on deaf ears and you'll be called a pick-me. So I get people commenting like that, right? And I understand the sentiment in which it's coming from, but we have to really be careful to speak positively and what you want to have happen. I have, what am I at? Like almost 18,000 followers, and about 60% of them are women. The content that I make is not make you feel good content. It's very get in your business, holding you accountable. So take comfort in knowing that there are that many women who are seriously interested in learning how to better themselves. And those types of questions or comments, not trying to just dig on you, sir, but those types of comments can be very discouraging. I find it extremely impressive that there are so many women who want to learn about femininity to the point where they are going to pay money and come most likely after work on a weekday and sit and listen for 2 hours. So I am super, super proud of my girls, super proud of how they responded to the post that I did today. And I think there was only one person, like I said, who made a snarky comment like, about men. But for the most part, there are so many women who are interested. And this is actually a really good point. We have to be careful not to speak in generalities, women or men, because there are some women, because they've been hurt in the past, they think all men suck. And there are some men, because they've experienced some negative stuff in the past, they think that all women suck. And it's really important that we go in truly believing that it's out there, because otherwise you might actually encounter the good person, but your funky attitude, not you, sir, but in general, the funky attitude will repel. I did a tips. I'm going to be doing some reels this week, peppering them in this coming week about do's and don'ts of your dating bio. And one of the things that I include for men and women is to not ever speak the negative in your bio. You don't want to date me if, or, pass my profile if. I have actually seen men on dating apps that were cute, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. Oh, he's handsome. And then I get to the little written part, and it's like, I will not deal with, and I was like, oh, I don't want to deal with a drama guy like that. So we have to be mindful, like I said, of what energy we're putting out there, because chances are we are repelling the good ones. Okay. Ooh, good question. It's Ninny 2.0. She said, do you think femininity is something to turn off and on based on what type of man you are dealing with? That is a hard no. And this is how I'm going to show you what I mean. Can you imagine a man turning his masculinity on or off? Can you imagine? Right? Like a lot of times, if we flip the script, it becomes super clear. Like, I do not want a guy who's like, yes, girl. And then once we get together, now he's like, hey, ma, what's up? That's my guy impression. But the thing is that with our femininity, it is something that is so precious. And so for me, it's not about turning the femininity on or off. It's about removing ourselves. So let's say, for example, I'm a great employee. I'm an absolute great employee. I'm coming to work on time all the time. I'm honest. I am trustworthy. I go above and beyond. If I am in a terrible working environment, I'm not going to turn into someone who's late and does sloppy work and has horrible ethics. What am I going to do? I'm going to remove myself from that job. I'm going to take myself out of that environment and get into an environment where I am appreciated. So with femininity, it's, yes, there is a protective nature of the masculine energy, but you should not be in a relationship or even dealing with a man who's putting you in that space. I can feel it even in my body when I talk to somebody who's a little bit toxic. Like if I'm just getting to know them. I remember this one guy. It was nuts. Like whatever I said, he found a way to be combative. I could have said that lamp is pretty and he'd be like, what is it about wrought iron that you like? It was just weird. And after one conversation, I felt myself starting to go into that like defensive, argumentative mode. And then I really like, I don't like this space. I don't like this space. And I politely excused myself from his presence and never spoke to him again. So it's super, super important that we don't allow someone to take us to that place It's kind of like with social media or things like that. Someone could come out of pocket and say something crazy. You could either lash back at them and then make yourself look crazy. You could delete it. You could just keep it pushing. There are so many things that we can do if we come across energy that makes us want to go into our masculine. And I don't want to say masculine like everything masculine is bad, but the goodness that is your femininity should never be turned off. Okay, you should be able to stay in that place. And you're absolutely welcome. Thank you. That was a great question. Okay. So she said, how do you define masculine energy? Rican goddess. Great question. So I think that there are some terms that are kind of interchangeable. So when I say femininity, I'm speaking of ladylikeness, and masculine energy. There are parts of masculine energy that are necessary, and everybody has both masculine and feminine. Men have both masculine and feminine, but you tend to want to have the majority of feminine energy if you're a woman. So masculine energy is about doing. Masculine energy is about goal oriented. I'm focused on something. I'm going towards that goal. It is very laser focused versus feminine, which is able to multi-focus and multitask. Masculine tends to be more aggressive, right? It's more combative, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because you need, like if he's a lawyer or, a police officer or something, you need to have that fight in him. And then feminine would be more passive, more agreeable, like, okay, we can all just get along. And so what I would say is I could more so describe what is unladylike. So masculine or / unladylike would be a woman who is raising her voice. She is using profanity. She is demanding to have things her way. She is trying to control the pace. She is trying to be in charge, make all the decisions. Those are some examples that I would give. And then, of course, you get into behaviors and things like that. But I go into a lot more depth in my class and really, really breaking down what that looks like. I gave this example on another live, so if you've seen this, I apologize. But it's interesting because there was a podcast, which I will not name, but there were guests on that podcast. And just even looking at the body language and the energy, it was such a stark contrast. So all the women were dressed like women. They weren't dressed like tomboys. But one woman was sitting and she was, all of her energy was feminine. And she's admitted that she used to have a ton of masculine energy, but she has made the transition to be, interesting choice of words, to be more feminine. And what she did was she actually commanded the room. Her sound bites are given a lot, with this podcast because there are multiple people. But when she speaks, she's poised, she's thoughtful, meaning she's thinking about what she's saying. She's not speaking quickly. And if a person, let's say, cuts her off, she's going to wait and then continue, because there are ways to still get the same results without coming out of your character. Contrast her with some other people who are on the podcast, their heads rolling, their hands moving, their facial expressions are like this when they don't agree with something somebody says. It's a complete different energy. And so I think that there is a lot of power in being feminine. But this world, this society teaches that the only strength is being the loudest, being able to talk trash harder, use more profanity, have no topics that are off the table. But the reality is it's not the same. It's absolutely not the same. And so there are things that maybe a guy is not opposed to. Like maybe a guy isn't bothered by profanity. He can sit there and watch a whole movie. But with his lady, he doesn't want to hear that. Or, he might have certain jokes he's comfortable telling with his guy friends. But with his lady, he's not comfortable with that. It's the same thing in reverse. We want to gossip and kiki with our girlfriends. But if our guy were to come in and talk about, ooh, what's the tea? We'd be like, sir, have several seats. Like, that's not what we're doing. So stuff isn't always necessarily bad in and of itself. but they are not appropriate in that situation for that particular person. Hope that makes sense. All right, so I've gotten through all the questions. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, if anyone else wants to purchase a badge, you could do so now. I always am appreciative of that, as I do this full time. I think that's about it, you guys. This was fun. I enjoy hanging out with you guys. It's always a good time. And I will do my best to post this on YouTube within 24 hours. Last night's live stream, I was able to get it up in like 2 hours because it takes a while to download it and then upload it to YouTube. But I will do my best to go there quickly. All right, guys, slide in my DM if you want information on my class. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Take care and have a good night.